Welcome to Steel Incorporated's Chainsaw Safety, Maintenance, and Operation. This program has been developed to give chainsaw operators the basic information needed to properly and safely use a chainsaw. Although this program will cover a wide variety of subjects, Steel always recommends that before you operate your chainsaw, read and fully understand your owner's manual. This manual will cover the important items that will be specific to your chainsaw's design, features, and operation. There are some basic rules to follow when limbing a tree on the ground. First, always begin limbing from the base of the tree, moving your way upward. Whenever possible, keep the log between you and the limb you're cutting. Make sure that you have good solid footing at all times. Never stand on the log, and never hold the saw with one hand while cutting. Always hold the saw with both hands, a firm grip, fingers and thumbs fully engaged around the handles. If the log is located on a slope, always stand on the uphill side of the log, so if it rolls away from you. If the log is supported by limbs on the underside of the tree, leave these limbs for last, as they will help support the tree during your work. Be cautious when cutting a limb from the bottom or underbucking. The limb may tend to close in the cut, resulting in a pinched chain and guide bar. If this happens, turn off the saw and remove the saw from the cut. This is a limb that is under pressure, referred to as a spring pull. These can be very dangerous, as they can spring back towards you with a great amount of force when cut. This can cause you to lose control of the chainsaw or result in severe or fatal injury. Be very cautious when cutting spring pulls. Release the tension by making multiple shallow cuts on the outside of the arc, with you standing at the center of the arc. Now that the limbs have been removed and the area around the log is cleared, you can begin bucking the log into the desired lengths. If your log is still suspended by lower branches, your job may be easier if you begin bucking from the top of the tree, as long as you're not cutting above shoulder height or have to reach. Then begin working down toward the butt. With the tree suspended off the ground, usually the sections you cut will drop effortlessly to the ground. Notice how our chainsaw operator is using his spikes to steady the saw while he is cutting. It's also a good idea to position your body away from the uncut portion of the log. This will create a clear zone for you to move in the event the log were to shift or move. You can work like this up to the point where the tree is suspended by a lower limb. At this point, you'll need to cut the lower limb and let the tree settle to the ground. Be very cautious when doing this and predetermine which way the log will drop or roll when the bottom limbs are removed. You'll want to position yourself on the opposite side of the log's movement, and be cautious of your bar pinching in the cut, as these limbs will usually be under a considerable amount of pressure. If you are bucking a log that is laying on the ground, there are a few things you'll need to know to perform this work properly. First, remember that if you touch the ground with a moving saw chain, even if it's for a split second, this will be enough to dull your chain. Since the wood is laying on the ground, you will need to be cautious of this. Here, you see our operator making a series of cuts in the log, not quite cutting completely through in order not to hit the ground with his chain. Once he has completed this series of cuts, he will roll the log over 180 degrees and finish the cut. This technique is a good one to use when the log is laying flat on even ground. But oftentimes, the ground the log is laying on is not flat and requires a variety of cuts to properly buck the log. This log is suspended with the weight focused in the middle of the log where you want to make your cut. As you cut this log, the log will begin to drop in the middle and your cut will begin to close up. If you don't immediately remove your bar from the cut, it will be pinched. To avoid this, first make a relief cut on the top side of the log. Then begin an underbucking cut from the bottom in such a manner that the two cuts will intersect. Done properly, you will be able to buck the log without pinching your guide bar. But this takes a lot of practice and skill and is usually best left for a professional chainsaw operator. This log is suspended, but the weight of the tree is on the ends of the log. This means if you were to buck this log, the log will tend to move upwards when cut. If this is the case, you'll do just the opposite that you did on the previous log by making your relief cut on the bottom and the finishing cut from the top. On either method, you can also use your plastic wedges to help keep the logs from closing in the final cuts. This is typical storm damage, where several damaged trees are intertwined in various positions. This work should be done by professionals only. The amount of risk and unsafe conditions that exist in multiple trees being blown down and the skill needed to work on these trees is tremendous. If you must work on storm-damaged trees, always drag the trees into the clear with a heavy vehicle such as a tractor or bulldozer before cutting them. Here is some damage around wires. Again, this work must be left up to professionals with the right equipment and training. We hope that this program will help make your chainsaw cutting experience a safer and more enjoyable one. For further information about your Stihl chainsaw, see your authorized Stihl dealer. For more information on Stihl, please see our website at stihlusa.com or phone us at 1-800-GO-STIHL.